Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 2014 US National Championships here in scenic Indianapolis, Indiana. My name is Evan Latt. I am joined by my co-caster, as usual, Mr. Scott Glaza here, on Day 2, Championship Saturday of the National Championships.
It's exciting to be here. Seen some fantastic games already, and we should see some more here. We've got halfway through the Swiss rounds on Day 2, all best-of-3 series today, and the final 3 games until we finish the Swiss part of the tournament, move on to the top cut, will be really important. Every round, some players are going to be eliminated from the tournament, some players taking a step forward toward their world qualification, so really important games today.
Yeah, very important games. We started with almost 500 players in the Masters division yesterday, and we're down to 46 who made it to this second day at Nationals. Really tight competition. We're looking forward to some exciting games. Just to give you guys an update on what you can expect to see here, we will be showing the final 3 rounds of Masters Swiss here. Just coming up right now. And then we'll be going into some top cut matches, top 8 and top 4. All of these matches having serious ramifications for Worlds qualification. Then after that, we'll be finished with the video game stream for the time being until tomorrow, where we'll be showing the finals. And we'll be cutting to some TCG action a little bit later on today. But should be an exciting day for both games.
Should be. With the video game here, we've got a bunch of players playing for both Worlds invitations and for trips. The top 4 players here are basically guaranteed at least invitations to the World Championships, but not necessarily trips, which only goes to the top 4 players in championship points. So you have some players here, they're pretty safe because they've played excellent this entire season. They're just playing to try and get that trip. And most of the players here, they're desperate for that invitation to the World Championships, so it should be important here.
Yeah, and we're desperate to get started. Let's go right into our first game. We're going to be looking at Huy Ha up against Alec Rubin right here in the 4th round of Swiss at the Indianapolis Convention Center. It's going to be an incredible matchup. You can see on your screen both players focused, already taking notes in this team preview section of the game. We'll be looking off of Huy's screen, so what you won't see is Huy's team, which is Audino, Hydreigon, Rotom Wash, Aerodactyl, Conkeldurr, and Mawile. And Alec will be running Rotom Heat, Aegislash, Venusaur, Tyranitar, Garchomp, and Gyarados. Some pretty interesting teams with some Pokemon that we weren't quite expecting to see have such a great showing here.
Yeah, I can't imagine too many people were expecting to see Audino. Surprisingly, Audino's made it all the way to this stage of the tournament. It's a better Pokemon than I think most people realize. It's bulky. As a normal type, it doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses. It can be used to support other Pokemon. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage on its own, but it can help its teammates do a great job here.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to see if Audino is able to pick up the slack and help support Huy's team. Of course, you'll be seeing Alec on the top of your screen and Huy at the bottom, as we can see Alec with a dashing fedora there and green eyes, going to toss out his lead Pokemon, going to be Aegislash and Gyarados, up against Huy's Pokemon, the Audino and the Rotom, going to start off the game for Huy. Getting that Audino out on the field right away.
Yeah, look to see what it does here. Like I mentioned, Audino, mostly a support-oriented Pokemon. That could be worrisome for it. Gyarados on the other side sometimes carries Taunt, which would screw up a lot of Audino's tricks. Another thing that is looking good for the other side here is Aegislash is a Pokemon known for being very good against Trick Room, and that's one of the options that Audino may be using here. So, tough spot for Huy. The one thing he does have is he has the Wash Rotom on his side, which is usually very good against Gyarados as because of Levitate and because of it being electric-type Pokemon. But there is a chance that Gyarados is a Mega Gyarados, which gets that Mold Breaker ability.
Yeah, and it looks like Audino does not want to stick around and risk a Taunt right here off the bat. Switches out for the Hydreigon. Great prediction by Huy. Does eat the Taunt onto Hydreigon. Isn't going to worry about it. It probably wants to attack anyway. And Rotom Wash showing the Volt Switch. Going to deal a little bit of damage to that Aegislash. Pretty good damage while it's in its shield form. And go back to Huy so he can make a call on who he wants to send out next. Pretty good damage, good momentum, more importantly, from the Volt Switch as Audino comes back out. Clearly not too worried about it, just wants to make sure that it gets a chance to be out on the field without being taunted. Aegislash does go ahead with the the stance change for the Shadow Ball into the normal type Audino, dealing no damage whatsoever. Huy taking a massive lead.
A really fantastic play by Huy there. He does Volt Switch the Aegislash there instead of the Gyarados, kind of covering all of his bases there. He thought Gyarados would taunt, but if instead it protected because of Rotom, he still gets Audino back out on the field. Hydreigon now threatening a lot more damage than Rotom was, so Gyarados isn't as safe as it was before. Aegislash also not very safe, so both these Pokemon are really worried there. They like to disrupt the Trick Room, but can they really take that chance? There's a good chance that Alec will lose a Pokemon in this turn, so he's really going to have to be careful here. Do you let the Trick Room go up without any punishment at all? Do you switch both Pokemon? Do you use some Protects here? But no Trick Room at all.
So Audino is going to give its Hydreigon partner a little bit of a helping hand. The Ice Fang coming out from Alec's Gyarados. Probably not going to be enough to KO that Hydreigon. Good good damage on dealt, though. The Draco Meteor, boosted by that helping hand, is going to target the Gyarados. Going to deal a lot of damage. We saw Draco Meteor so much last year, not quite getting the KO there, but is going to deal some solid damage there. While Aegislash continues to go heavily aggressive, uses the Flash Cannon, gets the critical hit and the feint onto Hui's Hydreigon, and Alec taking the momentum right back.
Yeah, it looked like Huy was the one who had a great position there, but with the critical hit there, Huy loses the first Pokemon, but he does get Rotom back on the field for free, which is helpful here. Effective against both Pokemon. A nice play on Alex's end. Often Aegislash choose to attack, then use that King Shield to get back into the defensive form so they take less damage. He probably anticipated that Huy wasn't going to attack the Aegislash slot there, concerned about Gyarados' taunt. Attacked again and got a knockout for it. So excellent play by him to read what Huy wanted to do this time. So first turn, Huy makes the great play. Now Alec fouls it up and he takes control of this match.
Yeah, you can tell why both of these players are in the position they're in. Alec is going to play a little bit safer with that Aegislash. Switches out to Venusaur. Blast in the past for me. That was my first starter Pokemon. As Gyarados does get the taunt off on Audino this time. Volt Switch comes back out, and it looks like it's targeting that Gyarados who's using its Wackenberry. But at this point, not going to be enough. Already sitting at red health there. And Gyarados does go down, and Huy is going to be able to bring that Rotom back into his team. Good move there. Volt Switch, one of those moves that I love. I don't think we see it enough, just because it allows you to make these plays and get the momentum when you need it. Mawile coming back out onto the field is going to intimidate that Venusaur. Not too much going on there, but the Trick Room does fail due to the taunt. Not able to get that Volt Switch off before the taunt from Gyarados.
And not a bad turn there for Alec. Even though he lost a Pokemon, he was able to stop that Trick Room. And Audino's not going to be doing very much while it's taunted here. So it's stuck on the field while taunted, likely going to have to switch back out for that Rotom, which is very dangerous to do against Venusaur here. Mawile now facing down that Heat Rotom, so it really would like to switch out also, but only one of them can make the escape here. We also see most likely the Mega Pokemon from both sides. We did see the Berry and Gyarados, so likely the Mega on this team is Venusaur. Hui's almost definitely Mawile. The only other Pokemon he has that can Mega Evolve is Aerodactyl, who's more often used to support.
Mm-hmm. And there you see Venusaur does decide to Mega Evolve, grows some extra trees on its back, and it's going to be able, makes it a lot more bulky and gives it a little bit of extra damage. Mawile is going to protect, trying to avoid an overheat from that Rotom heat, but Rotom itself goes for the Volt Switch into the Protect. Good play there. Sleep Powder coming out from Venusaur, from Mega Venusaur, but blocked by the Protect on Mawile. Good defensive playing from Huy there.
And he did a nice job there. He managed to get out of a bad situation without losing anything. Now he's his own Rotom on the field, threatening the opponent Rotom. Obviously, little advantage there having the water-type Rotom against the fire-type Rotom, so he's a slightly better position than he did before, though he's still not safe with Venusaur staring down his own Rotom. It usually takes 2 or 3 hits for a Venusaur to knock out a Rotom Wash, so it's not too dire of a situation, but he'd really like to get Audino out here. For him to win the game, Trick Room is still going to be very important. It's tough to see a way he's going to get out of this one because he's running a Trick Room team, so his Pokemon are slower, so having even field position is not probably going to be good enough for him in this one.
Yeah, you can see Huy really wants to get that Trick Room out. Switches the Rotom Wash back out for Audino. Going to try to get that Trick Room off, but still has to worry about the Sleep Powder coming out from Venusaur that we saw before. Mawile is going to Mega Evolve into Mega Mawile, a huge offensive threat on the field now. Rotom Heat showing the Volt Switch again, going to deal some damage to the Mawile and go back to Alec. Not going for the Overheat, potentially showing a choice item there, locking him into that Volt Switch there. As Aegislash comes back out onto the field in its shield form to hopefully tank some of the damage coming out from Mawile. The Sleep Powder does go off onto Audino from Mega Venusaur, so Audino is going to be taking a little bit of a snooze for the next couple turns. But the Iron Head coming out from Mega Mawile is going to deal a good amount of damage there, just a little bit under half there.
And some funny looking turns there. It's hard to tell if Alec is using a choice item or if he's just not expecting Mawile to leave itself open to the overheat from Rotom. It doesn't look like Mawile's running that much, or he hasn't trained that much in special defense, so it's likely an overheat would have knocked it out. Some people do choose to train their Mawile to be able to survive the overheat from Heat Rotom, something that kind of got popularized by Ray Rizzo after one of his regional victories. So feeling each other out in the first game here.
Yeah, Hui's going to go ahead and protect with the Mawile, hoping to waste a couple of turns while Audino can wake up. Aegislash again going for the King Shield as well. Sleep Powder is back into that Protect on Mawile. Kind of a dead turn there, but really good for Huy to get one of those turns of sleep out from Audino.
You can't wake up on the first turn of sleep, so he gets that out of the way. Now every turn Audino will have a chance of waking up. He's still going to have to endure another Sleep Powder, either on hoping Mawile will dodge it perhaps, or switching out to Rotom to get rid of that. But here it comes.
Yep, and the Sleep Powder does hit again, 2 for 2 on those Sleep Powders from Mega Venusaur, and Mawile is going to take a nap. Very dangerous, even if Huy gets the Trick Room off, because that'll be wasting very valuable turns of Trick Room. Aegislash is going to go on the offensive, turning back into that Blade, and the Shadow Ball onto Mega Mawile. Going to deal some good damage there as well. Not quite enough, but Audino gets the one-turn sleep, wakes up, and the Trick Room goes off. Really lucky for Huy right there.
Well, kind of good luck and bad luck, right? If he dodged the sleep powder, he'd be in great position right now. But because he didn't, Maul not only didn't get any damage last turn off, but it's going to be tough to actually take advantage of this. Aegislash likely slower than it now, but its Trick Room's up, so it's going to have to Sucker Punch to try to do any damage here, and he's only going to get one shot at it.
And Mega Venusaur is going to switch out for the Rotom Heat again, trying to put some more pressure onto that Mawile, but it does look like the Shadow Ball is going to be enough to get the KO onto Mega Mawile, and Huy is down to his last 2 Pokemon. The Heal Pulse, of course, going to fail as there is no target for it there, showing the Heal Pulse early and ineffectually, unfortunately.
Yeah, surprising move from Huy there. A Heal Pulse, not a move that I think I've ever seen in a tournament match before, but when you get this far with the Pokemon like Audino, you've got to be running some tricks up your sleeve, and that looks like it's one of his.
Yeah, definitely one of the tricks, and if he had been a little bit slower, might have been able to save that Mega Mawile, keep it around for a few more turns, and use that offensive pressure. Rotom Wash back on the field, hoping to pressure that Rotom Heat. One of probably the first of a few different Rotom mirrors we'll be seeing throughout the tournament. Always a popular Pokemon, has not changed in this generation. Flash Cannon is going to come out from that Aegislash, not dealing a lot of damage at all onto Audino, hoping to Heal Pulse up Rotom Wash from an Aegislash attack, but the Hydro Pump connects, gets the one-hit KO onto Rotom Heat, and it looks like Rotom Wash just might be able to take this out, except for the Venusaur in the back.
Yeah, oops, there comes that giant Venusaur back in, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. This Venusaur hasn't really done any attacking yet. It's been used as more of a supportive Pokemon. Venusaur is one of the bulkiest Mega Pokemon, so it's a really great defensive player.
Yeah, but it looks like Audino is going to try to give Rotom Wash as much help as possible. The Aegislash is going for the Shadow Ball on Rotom Wash this time, going to try to get the damage done. About 80 damage there, good enough for a 2-hit KO most likely. As the Hydro Pump comes out, not quite enough, just barely short on the KO there. And it looks like Giga Drain is going to be enough to get the KO on Rotom Wash. Heals up a little bit on Venusaur, but Audino versus Aegislash and Venusaur, I don't know about those odds.
Yeah. No, it doesn't look like Audino is going to be able to find a way out of this one. We do learn some information that's probably interesting there by what we didn't do over the last few turns. There wasn't a sleep turn when Mawile was knocked out by Aegislash, so he chose not to use Sucker Punch there. It'll be interesting to see if he just doesn't have Sucker Punch or just chose not to use it. And also, by Audino Heal Pulsing the full health Rotom, kind of makes you think that maybe it doesn't have any attacks, right? Especially since it switched out after the taunt. Didn't try to attack at the end of the game there if we just forfeited. So we'll see if Alec picked up on that and be able to use that to help him this next game here.
Yeah, very solid win from Alec. Going up the first game in a best-of-3 series. Great for the momentum, but more importantly, you have to figure out how much that you've told your opponent and how much your opponent has learned from you. And it looks like Huy showed a lot of his tricks on that in that game, and we'll have to see if Alec can, make sure that he's able to play around some of these fancier moves that Huy's been showing us. Again, on your screen, you are now looking at Alec's team. That's Rotom Heat, Aegislash, Venusaur. We've already seen Can Mega evolve. Tyranitar, Garchomp, and Gyarados, while Huy Ha, who we saw at the bottom of your screen, is Audino, Hydreigon, Rotom Wash, Aerodactyl, Conkeldurr, and Mawile. And Scott, going into this game too, how do you adapt if you're Huy?
Well, it's kind of funny when he lost the first game. Usually you think of Mawile as a Pokemon that wins that matchup with Mega Venusaur. The Mega Pokemon are extremely important this year, and usually the Mega has the better matchup. The player with in that situation, you expect them to win, right? He never really had control of that game. He does have some other Venusaur checks he could have tried to control a little bit better. And I was going to say, the other thing he can do is, bring Aerodactyl. He chose not to do it the first game. The Flying-type Pokemon will likely help out against both Venusaur and Heat Rotom, both of which were a bit of a problem for him in the first game. If he brought Hydreigon again, this other Pokemon can do a lot of damage to Venusaur. He just has to make sure that it doesn't go down quite as easily as it did in the first game. I think he was probably surprised by that fast Ice Fang from Gyarados in the previous match.
Yeah, and we are now seeing the leads for both of these competitors. Alec at the top of your screen with the Aegislash and the Rotom Heat, while Huy is at the bottom with the Aerodactyl and the Rotom Wash. How do you like the Aerodactyl tech into this lead matchup? Well, apparently Huy doesn't like it at all, so he's going to go ahead and retreat that Aerodactyl in favor of the Hydreigon, which he did bring again, while the opposing Rotom, that Rotom Heat, is going to go for the Volt Switch onto the Rotom Wash, dealing a good amount of damage there, and go back to Alec to try to maintain a little bit of the momentum as well. Very momentum-heavy based game this set has been so far.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting to see with the Volt Switches, with both the Rotoms having it. We actually kind of has an advantage with the slower Rotom, even though he can't Hydro Pump so easily, because he can get out and get the switch second.
And it looks like the Rotom Heat did switch out for the Gyarados. That Intimidate not doing much of anything, but the Volt Switch coming off onto Aegislash. Not quite the big play that we might have wanted, but does get some good damage onto the Aegislash and gets to select a counter from his own team for this Gyarados and Aegislash combo.
Yeah, I'm sure he's kicking himself a little bit for not Volt Switching the Gyarados slot, but getting damage in Aegislash is actually really important for him, given how much trouble he had knocking it out in the previous match.
Yeah, and Aerodactyl comes back in, that Unnerve, making sure that that Wiccanberry is not going to do anything for Gyarados while Aerodactyl is out on the field. And the Shadow Ball coming out from Aegislash, not quite enough. Does get the special defense drop, but Aerodactyl's pretty frail to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, normally with Aerodactyl, you're only going to take a couple attacks anyway, so special defense drop doesn't matter too much there. Both sides Volt switching. Huy took more damage, but for getting more damage taken on his side, he was able to switch into a better position. Again, this is the advantage of the second Volt switch, is he gets to react to what his opponent did. Big advantage, considering you normally switch, you're kind of anticipating what your opponent's doing, whereas with Volt Switch, you already have the answer. So he does have Hydreigon out here, one of the best counters to Aegislash, which is why we're seeing a little bit more of it at this national tournament we'd seen earlier in the season. And Aerodactyl, because of the Volt Switch went second, is not intimidated by that Gyarados. It can put out some decent damage to it, or use one of its support moves. It can learn Tailwind, it can learn Sky Drop, so it can do more than just damage here.
Or it could run away. Aerodactyl going back to Huy as Mawile comes out, going to get that Intimidate off onto the Gyarados, going to weaken that Ice Fang that we already saw it had that first game. As Aegislash is going to go for that King Shield to try to protect itself from any damage coming forward by Hydreigon. Going to switch over to its bulkier shield form as well, as the Thunder Wave comes out from Gyarados onto Mawile, trying to get the Thunder Wave onto the Aerodactyl, that speedy Aerodactyl. But Mawile's not too concerned about the drop there, but the Dark Pulse into the King Shield, not going to deal any damage there.
And nice play by Alec. I think that's the first time we've actually seen King Shield from it this series. Aegislash is a fun Pokemon because of how much its stats change every time it attacks. So there's a big mind game element to the Pokemon. You know, it's expected that you're going to King Shield after every attack, so by not doing so, you kind of throw your opponent off, so it's a guessing game with it.
Yeah, and Mega Mawile is back out onto the field, not concerned about that paralysis again because we already know that it's very slow. Gyarados' Ice Fang does come out, dealing a little bit less damage this time than before, thanks to that Intimidate. But the freeze! Hydreigon is frozen solid, unable to move. Oh, that's a heartbreaker for Huy there. That freeze just going to ruin the momentum here for him. As Flash Cannon comes out of the Aegislash, going to target that Hydreigon and get about 50% damage there. Rock Slide does come out from the Mawile, going to be able to deal some good damage back, but that freeze, that's just a killer.
Yeah, that's a really, really big momentum shift. Freeze sometimes worse than being knocked out, because not only can you not act anymore, so it's as though it's knocked out, it's still wasting a spot in the field, which is really difficult to get around. Pokemon's a very momentum-based game, right? So by having a spot on your field wasted, it's very easy to target down your teammates. Well, there's some danger to ignoring the frozen Pokemon. It doesn't look like there's much danger here.
Yeah, especially if Hydreigon is just going to stay frozen. Going to be able to tank another one of those Ice Fangs, though. But it looks like Aegislash is going to go ahead and get that Flash Cannon onto Mawile, dealing some decent damage. And the paralysis, the fully para for Mawile. Nothing we could do.
Yeah, tough spot for him. He just can't seem to get the rolls this game. You know, it could be a very different situation right now without the freeze, without the paralysis. Likely both of the Pokemon on the other side would have fainted here. It's also kind of interesting to see the advantage of the paralysis, which is that Maul is moving after Aegislash now. Did a bunch more damage with the Rock Slide in the previous turn that would normally have done, so there's still some hope here. It'll be interesting to see if Alec chooses to double target the Maul to get it out of there, or to knock out the Hydreigon, not risk it unfreezing and getting some big damage off. It hasn't attacked once successfully this game, but a single Dark Pulse would knock out Aegislash very easily from this range. It could do some big damage to Gyarados too, so there's still some threat from it, but after that first turn, you're not very likely to unthaw, unfortunately.
Yep, and there it is again. Hydreigon is still frozen. The Ice Fang is going to finish it off, finally get that potential threat off the field. Unfortunate for Huy, that Hydreigon looked like he was in a great position, but unable to get anything done. As the Shadow Ball does come out from Aegislash, is going to deal some good damage, but another paralysis from Mawile. 12 HP, still kicking, but apparently not very hard.
Well, hopefully Aerodactyl here can help it get another attack off. Aerodactyl does have the quick Rock Slide, which could cause some flinches here, maybe get the luck rolling in the other direction a little bit. Also has the option of Sky Drop to directly stop one of these attacks, but certainly a rough spot for Huy there. I think he's played a pretty good game. He managed to get himself in a decent position with that Volt Switch, but sometimes the cards just aren't in your favor, and it's been a rough game for Huy here.
Definitely. Aegislash is going to go ahead and show that Shadow Sneak to try and finish off that Mawile. Just to make sure that Mawile isn't able to potentially use a Sucker Punch he's been hiding or get another Rock Slide off. Aerodactyl's Rock Slide does go off onto both the Aegislash and the Gyarados. Not quite enough. Both of them in the red, and the Thunder Wave coming out from Gyarados, crippling that Aerodactyl. A paralyzed Aerodactyl is not a happy Aerodactyl. But the Lumberry coming out from Aerodactyl, he's still got some tricks up his sleeve.
Well, Aerodactyl's a little bit happier after that, isn't he? Nice save there by Aerodactyl, at least keeping the game interesting here. I'm not quite sure if it's in Shadow Sneak range. It's going to be very close if Alec does choose that option, but if he doesn't, Rock Slide will easily knock out both Pokemon here, so be a free turn for Huy's Rotom and to attack into any switches that might come out here, so careful situation.
Yeah, Aegislash doesn't want to take that risk going back to its shield form with that King Shield. Going to protect itself from any damage this turn, as well as bulking itself up for the next couple of turns. The Rock Slide hits the Protect and does connect with Gyarados, so we are going to get that last sliver of HP taken out from Gyarados, and Huy gets his first knockout on the board. And of course, the Hydro Pump into the Protect.
Yeah, big knockout there. At least he pulls himself into the game a little bit. We haven't seen a Mega yet from Alec's side, so we would assume that the unrevealed Pokemon here is likely Venusaur. He's going to have a fairly easy time with either of these Pokemon. It's also too big to be Skydropped, so Aerodactyl's not going to be able to do too much to it, but we see Rotom first.
Yeah, going to put that Rotom Heat back out, try to get potentially some extra damage onto Aerodactyl, get the KO so that Venusaur doesn't have anything to worry about. Definitely a rough position for Huy to be in, but you know, Aerodactyl, it does have Rock Slide. We've seen flinches happen before. We saw the freeze earlier, but the Thunderbolt coming out from Rotom Heat onto the Rotom Wash going to be just enough to survive, but the Aegislash avoids the first Rock Slide from Aerodactyl and not quite enough onto the Rotom Heat. Hydro Pump does connect with that Rotom Heat, is going to get the KO there, but without hitting that Aegislash with the Rock Slide, not a great turn, but at least does make the scoreline a little bit nicer. Aegislash back to its blade form, gets the Shadow Ball off, and is going to get the KO onto Rotom Wash.
Yeah, sort of surprised to see the knockout on Rotom instead of Aerodactyl there. You'd think that knocking out the Water-type Pokemon would be lower priority, assuming that Venusaur is in the back, and here it comes.
But Aegislash does still have that Shadow Sneak option, potentially enough, going to be very close. And it's not like Aerodactyl has many options to one-hit KO a Mega Venusaur.
Yeah, not too likely to happen here. If we had managed to get it to 2-1 here instead of 1-2, we would have had a shot at it with some Rock Slides. Would have needed a few flinches here, but it's hard to imagine a way he's going to pull himself out of this one.
And we see Venusaur is going to Mega Evolve, as we expected, and go ahead and bulk itself up quite a bit. Aegislash going for the King Shield, playing it very safe, going to protect itself from the damage and switch back to the more defensive form. Gives Aerodactyl a free chance to use that Rock Slide, though. Going to deal some damage onto Venusaur and hope for the flinch, hope and pray for a flinch. Does get the flinch, gets one flinch out of many.
The crowd's pretty excited to see that flinch there. At least we get something, but he's going to need, looks like probably about 5 more, possibly one in Aegislash too. So.
And Sky Drop comes out from Aerodactyl, does pick up the Venusaur into the sky, while Aegislash is going to try and get an attack off onto no one's on the field. Where'd everyone go? Flash Cannon whiffs into the Sky Dropped Aerodactyl here.
Whoops. Yeah. Apparently Venusaur not quite as heavy as I thought it was, but Aegislash gets to attack for free now.
Yeah, never a good position, and the Sky Drop's not even enough, even with the critical hit from that Aerodactyl. Giga Drain comes off onto the Aerodactyl and is going to be enough to get the KO. Huy and Alec shaking hands right now. Alec taking a very decisive 2-0 victory over Huy here, and he moves on to the next round.
Yeah, pretty good match there. I mean, only 2 games there, but both of them were pretty close. Huy pushed it pretty hard there. I think maybe if the game gone slightly differently, he would have been able to at least send that to a 3rd game. But Alec did a good job there. He made the plays to get the breaks he got, and I think sometimes people overlook that. It's easy to say like, oh, he got lucky with some of the Thunder Wave paralysis, but he chose to use Thunder Wave. Right? He put himself in that position so he would have that chance. Part of the reason you use that move is you know that there's a 1/4 chance every turn that you're going to stop the enemy Pokemon's action. So the odds went out for him, but he knew how to play him.
Yeah, I mean, everyone will probably look at that and say, oh, the paralysis, oh, the freeze. But you're right. You have to put yourself into a position where you can take advantage of those. Too often people get some of these breaks and then think, oh, I've won because I got those breaks. There's nothing I can do. But we saw Huy was able to claw back in that second game and get it a little bit closer. So if you relax, which Alec didn't, then you could be in a dangerous position. And very good play, very strong mental state to stay focused on the game, even with a couple of those advantages. And really a solid win for Alec.
Yeah, I think it was impressive by both sides there. It would have been easy also to give up if you're on Hui's end there. Just everything seemed to be going wrong, but he did a great job. He managed to at least make that game competitive. He was very close to winning, actually. I think even from the point the game was 2-3, he had a decent shot of pulling it back, so a nice job for him there. And Pokemon, fundamentally a game of probability management, right? And Alec did a great job of that. He didn't ignore the Hydreigon for too long. He chose to make sure he got that out of the way, even though he froze it. He didn't just take it for granted that it was going to go away. He did a good job there of just making sure that even though he got some advantages from the way he played the game that were a little probability-based, he made sure that he was going to finish it off.
Yeah, very good game from Alec, and we will be taking a short break, and we will be right back with the winner of that game, with Alec Rubin, right here at this desk, and then more games to come. We'll be right back.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Pokemon National Championship. We're here with the winner of the last match. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
So that was a pretty exciting match there. I'm sure you probably haven't played too many games against Audino so far this season. What did you think when you saw that team preview there?
I had heard somebody talking about the Audino earlier, so my guess was it was a support, but I didn't know what to expect, so I tried to lead Gyarados, and he predicted the taunt. So.
That still seems like it worked out pretty well for you, right? It's kind of a clever play by both sides. I know you kind of took the momentum from that point in the game pretty well. I'm sure the first turn didn't go out quite how you would have liked it to, but you still took control of that game pretty easily. So what were you thinking in that game? What was your goal?
I really wanted to try getting the Trick Room not to set up because most of my team is the middle speed tier. So if they go too fast or too slow on one side, I don't really have much of a shot. And with Thunder Wave, I can stop the Tailwind and stuff. But for Trick Room, I just don't have any options.
Looked like your options worked pretty well to me. Played that really well there. I was really impressed by the way that you played the second game also, because I know you had the freeze there, which is good, but it's not that simple, right? Because I mean, if you just ignore the target, you have the risk of it unthawing, and it's kind of dangerous with Aegis Slash in front of it. So
yeah.
that was really good. So I guess in the middle of that game there, you had the Paralyzed Maul, the Frozen Hydreigon. What were you expecting him to do there? They kind of just played out with the 2-2 for quite a while there, but that was kind of strange.
I was hoping that trying to take down the Mawile was my main goal, I guess, because I didn't really have a way to hit it super effectively, except Rotom. So if he got this backside row pump on me. But I was kind of just waiting for it to unthaw, in a sense, so that I could know where it was going to go, because I didn't want to focus on Mawile exclusively, because then Hydreigon will take down Aegis Slash. And I still didn't know what item he was running on the Hydreigon, so it could have been potentially bad if I left it alone.
Yeah, I thought that was really wise of you to make sure that it couldn't come back to haunt you. I thought you played that game really well, just kind of keep control of it and make sure that you kept that advantage. Another thing too, I guess you're 3-1 now. I'm sure that's a pretty impressive performance here. Were you expecting to do this well coming in, and what are you expecting to do for the rest of the tournament?
Well, my hope coming in was to make day 2, because I've gone to a past couple regionals and I've ended with 3 losses both time. So I thought 2 losses was a realistic goal, but now that the competition's really thinned out and I played one of the better players I know of, so I was kind of just hoping to go middle of the road, maybe 3 or 4 wins today, but this is better than I expected, so maybe 2 losses would be a good goal, but just kind of trying to play it out.
Well, you've got a good shot at it here. You only need a couple more wins, and you'll be right in that top 8. Have a good shot at that World's Invitation, so good luck with that, and thanks for being on here with us.
Thank you.